I'll start with you, Senator Cruz. Now, you are, of course, a strict constitutionalist. No one would doubt that. And as you know, the U.S. Constitution says only natural-born citizens are eligible for the office of President of the United States. Stop me if you've heard this before. Now, you were born in Canada to an American mother, so you were and are considered an American citizen. But that fellow next to you, Donald Trump, and others, have said that being born in Canada means you are not natural born, and that has raised questions about your eligibility. Do you want to try to close this topic once and for all tonight?
Well, Neil, I'm glad we are focusing on the important topics of the evening.
And as president, I will utterly destroy ISIS. We will use overwhelming air power, carpet bomb them into oblivion. We will take out...
That would kill a lot of civilians, carpet bombing.
We wouldn't be directing it at civilians.
You say you would carpet bomb them. You've said that before. You know that carpet bombing means women and children dead in the street. You know that, right?
It doesn't mean that. What I mean by carpet bombing is using overwhelming air power, not doing...
But they hide in civilian areas. You know that.
You know, back in September, my friend Donald said that he had had his lawyers look at this from every which way. And there was no issue there. There was nothing to this birther issue. Now...
What are you driving at there? Are you a birther, well, Donald?
Okay. Since September, the Constitution hasn't changed. But the poll numbers have.
I know that farmers are hurting. And
why are you trying to put salt onto the injury by wanting to take away our subsidies to biofuels?
Well, sir, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You made that statement. Don't tell me you're not. But you're going to keep it for the big oil people in Texas.
Sir, I'm happy to have a conversation with you, but not to yell. If you want to have a conversation,
I'll quit yelling.
Okay, I'm happy to have a conversation, but if I'll treat you respectfully.
I don't understand it.
Well, I'm happy to answer the question.
You're not going to get many votes tonight.
Well, I hope that doesn't prove the case.
Not doing that. Not being for going against subsidies to biofuels. Biofuels is a good part of our income.
Sir, do you want me to answer the question?
And I recognize that Donald is dismayed that his poll numbers are falling in Iowa. But the facts and the law here are really quite clear. Under long-standing U.S. law, the child of a U.S. citizen born abroad is a natural-born citizen. If a soldier has a child abroad, that child is a natural-born citizen. That's why John McCain, even though he was born in Panama, was eligible to run for president. If an American missionary has a child abroad, that child is a natural-born citizen. That's why George Romney, Mitt's dad, was eligible to run for president, even though he was born in Mexico.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, because you get your Bronx visa. You're not allowed in the Bronx.
God bless you.
Get out of the Bronx.
It's an immigrant community, said Cruz. It's an immigrant community. It's an immigrant community. If you're an anti-immigrant, you're not welcome here. We're at the forefront of climate change, said Cruz. We're at the forefront of climate change here.
At the end of the day, the legal issue is quite straightforward, but I would note that the birther theories that Donald has been relying on, some of the more extreme ones insist that you must not only be born on U.S. soil, but have two parents born on U.S. soil. Under that theory, not only would I be disqualified, Marco Rubio would be disqualified, Bobby Jindal would be disqualified, and interestingly enough, Donald J. Trump would be disqualified.
Next question. The New York primary is on Tuesday. You've already won your home state of Canada. Now you're in my home state of New York City, and people are still mad. They're mad at you for saying that they have, quote, New York values. What did you mean by that?
Look, Donald, I'm not going to pander to New Yorkers. I love New York City. It is the greatest city in the world with the best-looking audiences in the entire world. So when I said New York values, I was merely trying to say that I value New York.
Bill, you know, I think people across New York and across the country knew exactly what New York values means, and those are the values of liberal Democratic politicians who have been hammering this state.
Because Donald's mother was born in Scotland, she was naturalized. Now, Donald...
But I was born here.
On the issue of citizenship, Donald...
Big difference.
On the issue of citizenship, Donald, I'm not going to use your mother's birth against you.
Okay, good. Because it wouldn't work.
You're an American, as is everybody else on this stage, and I would suggest we focus on who's best prepared to be commander-in-chief, because that's the most important question facing the country.
Leviticus 20:13 calls for the death penalty for homosexuals. Yes, Romans chapter 1 verse 32, the Apostle Paul does say that homosexuals are worthy of death. His words, not mine. And I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Now, my friends, let me introduce to you the next candidate for the office of President of the United States. Folks, please make welcome Senator Ted Cruz.
I mean, you have great constitutional lawyers that say you can't run.
Well, listen, I've spent my entire life defending the Constitution before the U.S. Supreme Court, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to be taking legal advice from Donald Trump.
You don't have to. Take it from Lawrence Scott.
I would note this chart on the right, which shows for the last 18 years that there's been no significant warming whatsoever.
Here's, sir, just to answer your question, Senator, here was 1998, and here's today. So on me, I mean, I'm just a simple sailor, but it's hard for me to see the pause on that chart. So I think the pause is kind of come and gone.
Do you dispute the satellite measurement?
Let's not talk about the satellite. Here's
but
okay,
sir, I'm asking, do you dispute? I understand that the global warming alarmists don't want to talk about the satellite
sure,
data,
I'll
but
talk
I'm
about
asking.
the satellite. Let's talk about the satellite measurements. Let's talk about orbital decay. Let's talk about overlapping satellite records. Let's talk about stratospheric temperature contamination. I think Dr. Christie and Dr. Spencer, when they've put this out, they have been wrong, I think, at least 4 consecutive times. Each time the data record has had to be adjusted upwards. There have been several sign errors. So when, with all due respect, sir, I don't know which data exactly your staff has, whether it's the first or second or third or fourth correction to Dr. Christie's data. We used to have a negative trend, then we had no trend, and now we begrudgingly have an upward trend. So looking at those data, you know, it's okay.
Do you have a personal animosity against gay Americans?
But let me ask a question. Is there something about the left, and I'm going to put the media in this category, that's obsessed with sex? Why is it that the only question you want to ask concerns homosexuals? Okay, you can ask those questions over and over and over again. I recognize that you're reading questions from MSNBC.
Do you feel like you owe your party an apology? Listen, you had people who believed in you. They believed that you were going to somehow be able to defund Obamacare. They believed that this strategy of shutdown might have a chance. They followed you into a ditch, and now there's obviously no chance that Obamacare is going to be defunded.
You know, Van, I know you desperately want to change the topic from Obamacare. And it is striking that...
From the default?
Hold on, let me answer your question.
From the default? The destruction of the world economy?
Van, let me answer your question. Listen, Democrats in this town do not want to discuss Obamacare. Why? Because it isn't working.
You and your family have been getting your health insurance through your wife's job. Her company has been Goldman Sachs. She has now left that to help you with your campaign. So where are you getting your health insurance now?
We'll be getting new health insurance, and we'll presumably do it through my job in the Senate. And so we'll be on the federal exchange like millions of others on the federal exchange.
So you will be getting Obamacare effectively.
It is one of the good things about Obamacare.
But, Senator, for right now, the irony is just kind of unbelievable that you have made your name fighting against Obamacare, and you now are going to sign up to get your insurance through that very process.
I like Donald. He is an amazing entertainer. But his policies for most of his life...
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
For most of his life, his policies have been very, very liberal. For most of his life, he has described himself as very pro-choice and as a supporter of partial birth abortion. Right now, today, as a candidate, he supports federal taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. I disagree with him on that. That's a matter of principle, and I'll tell you...
You are the single biggest liar. You probably are worse than Jeb Bush.
Aspiration. Is that like sweat on my butt? No. Oh, I see. What you want me to do, what I want to do in life. Well, my aspiration is to, I don't know, be in a teen tit film like that guy who played Horatio. You know, he was in Malibu Bikini Beach Shop. Well, other than that, take over the world domination, rule everything, rich, powerful, that sort of stuff.
Do you think you can win head-to-head?
Are you taking off?
Yeah, they're going with me.
Hey, let's hop out of my way.
We're taking it.
Good job. Good job.
Ready, Bob?
All right, we have Todd Cologne here. He owns a pizza shop in New York City. He's undecided, but leaning towards Donald Trump. So what's your question for the senator?
Hi, I'm a lifelong Republican, and I've been married to my husband for 2 years now. And my question is, I've noticed a lot of religious freedom laws and somewhat institutionalized discrimination laws happening around the country. What would you as president do to protect me and my husband from that institutionalized discrimination?
Well, listen, when it comes to religious liberty is something that protects every one of us. And for me, I have spent my entire adult life fighting to defend religious liberty, fighting to defend the freedom of every one of us to seek out and worship God. And I think keeping government out of the way of your lives protects the freedom of every one of us.
But when you talk about freedom, what he's referred to with his husband, a lot of people would say, doesn't everybody have the freedom to be treated equally? Don't we all have the freedom to be equal?
Of course we do.
But you are speaking at a conference this weekend, the National Religious Liberties Conference in Des Moines. It's organized by a guy named Kevin Swanson. You've been very outspoken about what you deem liberal intolerance of Christians. But Kevin Swanson has said some very inflammatory things about gays and lesbians. He believes Christians should hold up signs at gay weddings, holding up the Leviticus verse, instructing the faithful to put gays to death because what they do is an abomination. I don't hold you responsible for what other people say, but given your concern about liberal intolerance, are you not in some ways endorsing conservative intolerance?
Listen, I don't know what this gentleman has said and what he hasn't said.
You know, you supported a constitutional amendment that would have the effect of overturning the Supreme Court decision on gay marriage. So what would that mean for couples like Todd and his husband who already are married?
Well, listen, I am a constitutionalist, and under the Constitution, marriage is a question for the states. That we've got 50 states, that the laws in one state may be different than another state, and we would expect that. We would expect the people of New York to adopt different laws, perhaps, than the people of California or Texas or Florida. And that's the great thing about a big, diverse country, is that we can have different laws that respect different values.
Federal spending, specifying exactly what I would cut. It's easy to say it, but one of the great disconnects to all the people, all of the voters, I understand the folks who are supporting Donald right now. You're angry at Washington, and he uses angry rhetoric. But for 40